Greatness can be defined by so many words. Some people define greatness by how much money, power, connections, fame. Professor Sir Dr. Magdi Yacoub is one of those great giants. In 1986, Dr. Yacoub was appointed a professor at the Imperial College, London. 1992, he was knighted. The greatest honor came in 1999 when he became a member of the Royal Society of Great Britain, having created the Chain of Hope charity for the performance of cardiac surgery in many third world countries like Mozambique, Ethiopia, and Jamaica. Sir Magdi was presented with the Order of Merit by Queen Elizabeth in 2014. He received numerous American honors as well, such as the Texas Heart Institute Award in 1998, the Cleveland Clinic Foundation Heart Failure Award in 2001, the International Society for Heart and Lung Transplant Lifetime Achievement Award in 2004, the American College of Cardiology Legend of Cardiovascular Medicine Award in 2012. Many call him the Renaissance genius. Others call him the surgeon, the knight, and the king of hearts. Professor Sir Dr. Magdi Yacoub, it's an honor to have you with me today.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Dr. Magdi, in this forum, I represent two hats. I am in charge of the Coptic Medical Association of North America, which a lot of followers and people who are really very excited to hear and see you today. Many of them are in the healthcare, but also the Christian Youth channel, where a lot of youth and future adults who want to be one day, maybe they can reach your level of eminence. So with that said, I know you don't like to talk much about your early life, but what's in your early life can youth learn to become persistent and to continue to be determined in spite of obstacles and failure that happen to every one of us?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. If I look back at my early life, I was quite an ordinary person. I still am. There is nothing special. However, there were several things which attracted my attention and really made me fall in love, if you like, with the specialty of both medicine and science. And that grew with time. So I had like a passion for those two things. Then as time went by, I looked at why are we doing that, discovering new things and science and treating people. It dawned on me that actually only a very small population of the world, like 10 to 15% at the most, who benefit from that, while 85% of the world population are actually in dire need of such treatment at a high level. So that's what got me into global medicine. I'm not anything special. I just persisted in what I love most, and the rest is history.
Yes, the rest is history. I read that you started in Hartfield, London, and in Hartfield, London, and at that time wasn't a very famous hospital. and you probably were turned down by a much bigger name and hospital at that time. What are your feelings towards that?
There was disappointment at the beginning when I was almost promised to have a consultant job at Brompton Hospital. Then I didn't. But actually, it turned out that that was a very good thing that happened to me in the longer run, because I went to the US first and then came back to Harefield. And Harefield was absolutely wonderful. Why? Because it was focused on the patients, and it was not at all full of, there was no arrogance, if you like.
Yes.
That is fantastic. And it was a fertile field to look after patients properly and to have a lot of dedicated staff who responded to the challenge. And again, that was a fantastic thing in the longer run. So many times, what looks like a disappointment turns out to be actually an advantage.
Yes, a chance. So many of us who feel like they failed something or they didn't attain what they would love to have, some of us feel very frustrated, disappointment, but in your case, Harefield continued to be a major star thanks to you, although at presentation wasn't the greatest thing you were hoping for.
That is true.
Yeah. Professor, some called you the Leonardo da Vinci of cardiac surgery. Can you explain, and I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but for at least us who look up to you, why that title was given to you?
I think if you compare me to Leonardo, I don't measure at all. Looking at all the innovations Leonardo da Vinci has introduced as a painter, as a sculptor, as an engineer, as a biologist. It's almost endless. He had an innovative mind. Some of my very, very generous colleagues, and I use the word generous because they thought that I have introduced many new ideas into cardiac surgery at different levels, almost like Leonardo, but actually there's no way you can compare me to Leonardo da Vinci.
Thank you. I am a simple oncologist, but I always look up to you and I think, how does it feel when you hold in your palm the most important organ?
Yeah, that's a very good question because really I have the highest respect and love for the heart. I think this is a noble organ which goes on contracting in harmony from birth to death and completely silent. And it consists of a huge number of molecules and component parts which are all interact together beautifully. So you can say that I am in love with the heart. It also communicates with the brain, and it is poetic. Of course, many people think that it is all emotions come from the heart. There is some truth in that. Some people think, oh, it's just a pump, whereas I think it's a lot more than just a pump. So to hold it in my hand, there's a massive amount of respect and love.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I read in an article written about some of your achievements, and I quote, "His stamina was monumental." And you are now speaking to many young professionals who are starting their careers, lives, going to face many things in their life. Can you comment on the stamina, how a person develop it, how a person treasure it, how a person grow it?
Again, that's an excellent question. It comes from what I started to talk about earlier, is having a passion for what you're doing. I think the word passion and finding out the values which excite you most, and that actually makes it very easy or easy enough for you to go on and on and on, satisfying your love to the profession or to whatever you want to do. And that's what gives the stamina, of course. That having said that, I talk about it is very important if you want to carry on is to be consistent and persistent as well. So you do not give up. Many times in my career, people tried to give me advice saying, just give up, and for different reasons. Some of them said, you will never get there anyway. So why are you wasting your time? And the others said, it's a dying specialty.
Yeah.
There will be no cardiac surgery because, and that was very experienced people. We've done all the congenital heart disease, and there's nothing remaining. No, because coronary disease will never be amenable to treatment. All that proved to be wrong because I just had this passion and persistence to carry on, and that what I would advise young people to continue to do. But may I just end by saying that this has to be coupled with humility, because without humility, there is no success in reaching your goal. Why do I say that? Because humility is essential both in personal relationship, but also in science, even more in science. Because every time you discover something, you think, this is it. We are at the top of the mountain. And you look up and you find that there is a huge mountain ahead of you. So humility is absolutely essential in this specialty. And that is related to your question that stamina and what young people need to know. I'm not anything special. I'm somebody who just pursued what I wanted to do most and enjoyed myself in that journey. And my God, there is a lot more to do.
Thank you. Sir, you practiced the whole gamut of cardiac surgery, adults, children, transplant. Again, I read an article, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you performed over 2,500 transplant surgeries. You just spoke about humility, and I'm not asking you to speak about yourself, but if I would have done 10 cases, I would have been flying out of pride. How a person, not Sir Professor Dr. Magdi Yacoub, performed 2,500 transplant surgeries, probably saved thousands of these lives, continued to stay humble. What is that? How teach us?
Yeah. Now, regarding performing 2,500 or more, it was relatively easy. Why? Because I was surrounded by a hand-picked team who believed in the same mission. And we were sometimes working around the clock, like we performed like 14 heart transplants and 2 lung transplants in a weekend. And we were just working around the clock. But not one of us, but the entire team. And we had Chris Barnard visiting us. You know who Chris Barnard, of course.
Yes.
And he said, "Oh my God, you have done in the weekend what I would do in a year and a half." Why? Because we had a team. That team effort is really essential, because without a team, you cannot achieve anything. You cannot clap with one hand. You cannot play a symphony with one instrument. Yeah, there are solo instruments and so on, but it's the exception more than the rule.
Thank you. I read that in 2006, again, this is, I did my homework, you were already in retirement, but you came out of retirement for a young girl, 12-year-old, her name is Hannah Clark, who her dormant heart started to function after a transplant had been placed many years before. Do you remember the story, and can you tell us what is the lesson from this?
Yeah, I mean, there are two things here. One, I never retired actually, because immediately I was forced to retire from the National Health Service, and I think I was 67 or something like that. But I continued with my charity work, with my research. Regarding Hannah Clark, we have learned a whole lot of things and continue, as usually the case with science, you continue to learn that heart failure is not irreversible. And in her case, there were several lessons to learn. This was the first one, because we couldn't find a heart for her initially, and she was desperate, and she was, I think, like 1 year old or less than 1 year. So we found a small heart which could assist the same heart, and we did that as an auxiliary or heterotopic transplantation. That was described by Chris Barnard before, so that was not original. But what we did is that we hoped that her own heart will recover. And indeed, it continued to recover almost completely. But what next we learned also is that she developed several types of cancer due to the immunosuppression, and we tried to reverse that by a variety of methods, like making monoclonal antibodies against the cancer, but still she had respiratory obstruction, she nearly died. So we decided to take the heart out. By then she was under the care of Great Ormond Street, and they asked me what to do. And they said, I know exactly where it is, and I think we should take it out because the heart has recovered. And I worked with my colleagues there at Great Ormond Street, particularly Victor Tsang, and I took the heart out, and we stopped the immunosuppression, and the cancer disappeared completely, and her heart continued to improve. She grew up to a beautiful young lady. She got married, and now she has children of her own. So that we've learned so many things. The interesting thing about this story, at that time, I rang the editor of the Lancet, and I said, I have this almost incredible case. Do you want me to send a letter? And he said, no, please write a full article. I said, how long? He said, as long as you like.
Wow.
When the paper was published in the Lancet held a press conference, and they entitled it something like, we have just published in the Lancet something analogous to putting a man on the moon. I said, oh my God, that's a bit too much. But they said, because of the lessons in science, many things, as you know, which are not expected, does happen. And
Yes.
it is important to continue to challenge dogma, not to say this is it, there is nothing more, especially when you are faced with what appears to be an impossible situation and the patient was just about to die. So Hannah Clark faced almost death when she was small from a baby with heart failure, and next with respiratory obstruction and cancer and this and that. But she has taught us a whole lot of things, because we have just finished an incredible, successful meeting at the Red Sea on cardiac regeneration, just like what Hannah Clark has taught us, cardiac regeneration. That is a direct result of what we have learned from cardiac transplantation. Obviously, transplantation must continue, but cardiac regeneration and reversing heart failure is really something to be explored avidly in the future, as we have learned from Hannah Clark. So that's the story of Hannah Clark.
It's an amazing story. Thank you very much for sharing it. I want to move now to currently what Professor Sir Magdi Yacoub is doing. You are all over the world. You go to third world countries. Your love is in Aswan. And I wish I can hear about the third world countries first, but then I want to focus the last 10, 15 minutes on Aswan and what are your plans there. So first, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Jamaica, I'm not sure other countries. What are your aspirations there and what's happening there?
Okay, may I start with Aswan?
Yes, that's your love.
If I may. Because many people ask why Aswan.
Yes.
And why Aswan is relatively easy, because we used to go to Cairo and to treat patients or help in treating patients in Abu Rish and other in Cairo, other hospital, pediatric hospital. However, patients arriving from Aswan in particular arrived in a very, very sorry state, and they were moribund. And we felt that was totally unacceptable, and that we should go there and offer them the best treatment possible. Obviously, that happened, and a very large team. Initially, we were like 3 or 4. Now we are 700 in Aswan. And what is very impressive in Aswan is everybody, I mean, everybody believes in the mission of the hospital, which is to offer the very best treatment possible uh, to everybody without differentiation because of color, religion, creed, and most importantly, money. We treat the poor and the desolate and those with very complex conditions, we give them priority. And that feeling, which I call the Swan spirit, has really prevailed in a big, big way. And there is a whole team of people who think alike, and 95% of them are Egyptian. So we are hopefully that will continue and give what we call sustainability in the future. Now that was the nucleus which encouraged us more and more. We were in Jamaica, and we are still in Jamaica. We are in Ethiopia, and that's expanding. And now, as you said, Mozambique, Ana Olga Mukombi and her team there are fantastic. But there is a huge new venture, first in Cairo, near the pyramids, and that was taking a lot of energy in terms of not only the building, which it looks absolutely fantastic, because it was designed by Lord Norman Foster, and it looks like Sydney Opera House, and it's fantastic by all accounts. But the most important thing there is that we want to continue the spirit of Aswan, of the service, of the dedication to the patient, to the science. None of us and none of the team raised their voice. They worked total harmony together, and we want to continue that. Now, to replicate that in the Cairo, and then there is a new venture in Rwanda, in Kigali, because we have a whole campus, a huge piece of land, and that is already coming up because that country has suffered tremendously because of the genocide.
Okay.
There is a general feeling of guilt of our generation of how could we have allowed 2 million people to be killed, innocent people, including women and children, school children, in a couple of months. So now it's completely transformed. It's a beautiful country, and they've learned their lesson, and they need help because there isn't a single. There is one now starting heart hospital, but we are going to have what they want us to do, which is a replica of Aswan. So Aswan has been acting as a model to replicate in Africa and other places in the world. The problem, of course, is how to make it sustainable. And we need a lot of resources. Now we're finding human resources because young people now in different countries, I have first experience in Egypt a lot, in Aswan, there's massive talent. There is massive dedication. Not all of them, of course. You have to pick the ones who fit into the system, if you like, and find out, get those guys going, trained, dedicated, moving forward. But you have to have the physical facilities, the funding, not only now, but in the future. And that is really important. to support humanity, because there is so much pain not only in Egypt, which we're concentrating on, but around the world. So that's why the Global Heart Foundation, which is situated here and in Egypt, dedicated to alleviate some of that pain and to prevent really what in effect is making whole communities sad and dysfunctional. So that's what is the focus of the Global Heart Foundation and the chain of hope.
Thank you very much. Aswan, are you doing your team? Of course, I met Dr. Wael Abdelal, an amazing team of surgeons that there. Are you doing transplants or other valvular heart surgery?
That's very good question. Dr. Wael Abdelal has been there from a long time ago, yes, even before any of that, when I used to go to Egypt in the 70s and 80s almost. Am I right? I think that's around 80s. And he has witnessed and has been a very active member since then. Now, with regard to operations being performed there, every operation, including left ventricular assist devices, are being performed. Transplantation is not yet, although there is now a massive move to establish heart and lung transplantation. But the problem there is that we need to convince the population that brain death criteria are solid, and that our body is dispensable. Once the brain is gone, we have gone, because it's not just people talk about it's a religious thing. It is not a religious thing. I've seen it in different parts of the world. Even in Sweden, initially there was resistance, but in Japan, people said it's religious. It's not. It is more cultural. And in Egypt in particular, with the ancient Egyptians who loved life and wanted to come back, and the belief then was that you come back in the same body. And that's why the pharaohs had like 20 copies of their body preserved there, and they were embalmed. So we need to change the culture that, all right, yeah, there is a life after death, but you don't need the current body for that life after death. So there is a lot of raising awareness in Egypt now, and the government and the president are given massive support to this, including a lot of funding, but which need to change the culture and to start convince people that transplantation, not only of all organs, but of tissues, save life. And it is really a donation of life, particularly that some of the transplant recipients who were transplanted at Hayfield Hospital. And I can tell you one I saw recently, 38 years after she was admitted at the age of 15 in cardiogenic shock and was thought that she will die in 1 week. She's currently practicing as a barrister 38 years after she was transplanted. So transplantation, heart transplantation, as well as other organ transplantation, has been the success story of the 20th century. We need to continue, but we need also to build the science of regeneration and increase donation and increase the survival, although we all are celebrating the fact that almost 20% of the patient transplanted being moribund are still living 20 years later and even 38 years later. But there are a lot of problems to do with the immunosuppression,
Yes.
non-specific, and we need what the late Sir Peter Medawar started the whole movement by his seminal work and the paper in Nature entitled Induction of Specific Immune Tolerance. So there is a lot of work to be done by young people and old people, of course, to induce specific immune tolerance and to develop the science, like I was saying, of regeneration,
Yeah.
reprogramming fibroblasts into cardiac myocyte, inducing them to divide, etc., etc. There's a lot to be done.
I'm getting to my last few questions, but several people asked me if they were to volunteer, would you accept volunteers, whether they are medical, they may be social workers, they may be, I know, youth. Do you accept in my Swan volunteers?
Yeah, absolutely. There are programs but it has to be organized.
Sure.
Not everybody comes and do a few things. So there are fellowships, and there are also attachments. What do we call them? Observers, and that has been very, very fruitful because you have young people come while they are medical students, for example, or even pre-medical students, and be observers for a week or 2 or 3, up to a month sometimes, and they are totally inspired, and they come back having finished their medical school or doing more research. So it is sometimes it is already trained cardiologists or cardiac surgeons who come and spend a period of observership, and it's a win-win-win. There are fellowships for at least 6 months to a year, and there are a lot of grants to do that. And then again, there's exchange of ideas, and everybody wins, particularly the patient.
Thank you. My final question, sir, is how can our audience help my Swan to achieve your aspirations?
I think moral support is very important, of course, because, but also funds, as you have heard, we are very short of funds to just not only to build, but to sustain excellence all the time. So both moral, physical, and by funds, that can be very helpful.
Thank you. We are posting the foundation, Dr. Magdi Yacoub Foundation link every now and then. We will keep it in our site when we post this later on. And I hope our audience can help in this amazing endeavor. Professor, it's my honor. It was really a great honor that you gave me this time from your very busy schedule. And I'm really very thankful and grateful, not just because you give me the time, but because you are doing what you're doing. We are all look up to you, and we wish that there are many, many like you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your kind words, and I hope that you and the rest of the audience can belong to the bigger family of the Swan Center. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My friends, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm sure you enjoyed as I did, an amazing special interview with the humble giant, the surgeon, the knight, and the king of hearts, Professor Sir Magdi Yacoub. May God bless him and bless all his team and all his work. And I hope to see you again with another special interview. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.